And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another weekend edition of the PiGosaur Monday, number 5, your weekly dose of Open StarCraft. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It is great to be back on the PTR. Welcome to the PTR edition of this tournament, 2 weeks in a row, and we are here. We are live! !B in the chat. If you guys want to have a look back yourselves, of course, I'm your host, Live VIP. With me, I'm joined by all these players, the people in the chat, and my lovely plushies as well. We are jumping into game 1 between Bulmyeolja and Matt. Let's go. Let us go. We're jumping into a ZVP. I'll be honest, I thought Bulmyeolja was a Terran player. I did just assume he was a Terran, but no, it's going to be a ZVP. Instead, we're going to be loading into Hecate as game number 1. Let us go. As a reminder as well, this event is going to be played on the PTR with the new ladder map pool. For the most part, there is one map that is not quite like the others, and that is this map. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate, we have the American Protoss player, the orange Protoss. It is Bulmyeolja. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the French Zerg player, the red Zerg. It is Matt. Here we go. If you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on how you think this series will unfold, on who you think will come out on top. Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat as we jump right on in. Now, again, this event is a little bit different in a sense. I say a little bit different. What I should say, we are not allowing any of the current ladder map pool, any of the current ladder maps into this tournament map pool. Because of that, there's no Alkiana, there's no Side Delta, there's no Post Youth, there's no Crimson Court, any of that stuff. It is only the new maps except one additional map. The reason for that, of the new maps, there's only 6. There's only 6, and usually we need at least 7 for the veto process, so an additional map was added. That additional map was Hecate. And our player's actually playing on it. Fun fact, we actually have Hecate in the map pool last week, and also in our tournaments, and also in the KSRC, and this is the first time I'm casting on it in a very, very long time. Usually it's been vetoed, so shame on these players, but usually this map is vetoed because, again, it's not really going to come into play the next season. It's just there as a filler map, but Matt and Bulmyeolja have opted to actually play in it. And it's been a while. It's been a very, very long time. It's been a couple of years at this point since we have competed on Hecate, so it is good to be back. A lot of choke points, a lot of ramps, a lot of choke points in the center of the map. The bases are nicely spread though, and this can be quite conducive to a bit of a longer game state as a result. We'll see if we can get there. We shall see. For the most part, though, I'm a little bit unfamiliar with Bulmyeolja's Protoss, so I'm ready to be introduced, ready to see how they do approach this and how they can take it to Matt. I'm ready. I'm excited. Here we go. For the time being, it is going to be Say That Opener. I say that Twilight Council has been thrown down for Bulmyeolja, so he's going for something more aggressive, more assertive. I imagine Glavid Eps. I imagine this could also be a DT-based opener as well, so we'll keep an eye on our Protoss player. Meanwhile, back across the map, Hatch Gas Pull into a third standard opener out of Matt, out of our Zerg player. Nothing too crazy, just happily droning up. It's going to be on the Zerg, though, to figure out what exactly is going on. Oh boy. And we'll see if he can. But now there's a second gateway. Okay, the first step does move out across the map. I was like, where's he at? That does move out across the map into the mineral line, and will threaten the drones so far, and not a single worker has gone down, but they are dragged away. Oh, there we go. One drone falls. A second drone does survive, just barely with that HP regeneration. 1 HP! Oh my god. The 1 HP drone slowly regenerating, and meanwhile across the map, Volcano is lost. I was like, yo, is it going to be Glavid Eps or is it going to be DTs? It is both. It is going to be both here for Bulmyeolja, one into the other, and we'll see how he does across the map. Now, unfortunately, it looks like there is no robo with this. We're currently still only on 2 gates. We should be throwing down extra gateways behind this. Ideally, this also coincides with a robo into a warp prism to harass across the map to reinforce as well. So we'll see how Bulmyeolja does piece this all together, because the Dark Shrine is halfway done at this point. And he's taking an extra gas geyser. Okay. Interesting. This is a variation that I haven't quite seen before. The Overlord comes over for the Scouts, and all the Overlord sees everything in the main. Spots the Twilight Council researching, and spots the Dark Shrine as well. That should trigger Matt to throw down spores. I mean, there's already a spore here at the natural, spore in the main, soon to be a spore at the third base as well. Roach Warren has been placed, And, I mean, so far so good. Bulmyeolja, he's expanding. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I was curious as to why there was no robo additional gateways. I mean, all the money that would have been spent on the robo and gateways is being spent on a third base instead. So this is a macro build, but with glaives and DTs, I'm getting mixed signals here. We're investing quite heavily into tech that's designed to harass and designed to get across the map, but we're expanding. And that means that, the harassment one is not going to be ideal. It's going to be delayed. And the chances of it getting damage done is quite low because of that. On top of that, this third base is also very exposed. Like, wild build here by Bulmyeolja. Does get into the mineral line, gets a drone, gets 2, and not bad. 3 even, oh my god. 3, 4 drones go down, 5 drones, he gets 6, oh my god. Matt out of position, and despite the detection being here, despite all the queens, 6 drone kills, very worth it for Bulmyeolja. Very worth it so far. Into double he's a clown. What am I watching right now? Okay, so Glaive Adepts DT's third base into double Stargate Void Ray question mark? Ay. Okay, bully. Okay. I'm ready. Take us on a trip. It's 2020 all over again. Mass Void. I'm assuming Mass Void Ray. I mean, he technically could go Mass Phoenix. He could go like Fleet Beacon into like a Carrier Rush or something. God, not ready for this. As Matt dips in, gets a couple of probes. I mean, the adept count is building up. It is going to be Phoenix into charge. Okay, I mean, Bulmyeolja, he's got a good amount of Glaive Adepts to move out across map to harass, to be active. DT hits the would-be 4th. Hope to force a cancel. But there's a section in time. Or is it? Up! Oh my god. Nice cancellation here on the 4th base. These DTs, they put in some work. Putting in the work. Meanwhile, Matt behind this taking up into Hydra, so he's going Ling Hydra here overall. Does have a safety Roach Warren, but hasn't really invested too heavily into it. No Roach speed here for Matt. Just playing it out safe and secure, and Bulmyeolja is getting away with this. Despite Matt's otherwise having map control, he's still stuck at home. Adepts a shade in, 4 drones go down, very nice target firing. And the Protoss, he is getting away with his third. He's building up, he's saturating, banking up Phoenixes back at home. Now, Matt is already producing Hydra, so he will have some anti-air. Hydras are amassing. He will get there. Eventually, Bulmyeolja is going to pull the trigger. We do have an Overseer Scout into the main. I believe, Matt, he has not yet seen the main, though. He has yet to confirm the Phoenix production. Doesn't know, but thankfully he's already making Hydras. And speaking of Hydras that have arrived, they support the Queens. Phoenixes that don't get much done. The only thing that really our Zerg player is missing here would be Banelings. It'd either be Banelings or Lurkers, like some kind of splash damage against the Gateway Army. Purely Ling Hydra can struggle against Mass Charge to death like this. So I'm a little bit concerned. Again, there is still no Baneling Nest. Infestation bit's on the way, so Matt is working towards Hive, towards Lurkers, but that's still a ways off. We'll see if he can hold on. They push in the left-hand side. They distract the Hydras. Meanwhile, Zalse do hit the right-hand side instead. Again, the army's out of position. Drones are going down already. 7 drone kills. Matt does split. Did lose a little workers. Bulmyeolja building up. Now, Bulmyeolja's army is very fragile, and I feel like it doesn't have the best longevity here. I feel like we need to go sooner rather than later. I say that, Bulmyeolja now taking to Sky Toss. That is a Fleet Beacon on the way. Looks like he's working towards would-be Carrier Tempest. But because that's a ways away, that tells me that Matt should be able to stabilize, should be able to build up, and eventually push out. As I say that, though, another Zealot Rumbai comes in. And once again, Matt's out of position. Yeah, drones are going down. Going to be 6 drone kills here towards the left-hand side. At the same time, Queens getting picked off as well. Bulmyeolja trading well. I mentioned this before, but without Banelings, you can see that so many Hydras go down. That was how many? That was 7 Hydras. 7 Hydras for 9 Zealots. That is well worth it for the Protoss, trading minerals for gas. Again, these are expensive losses. Matt trying to drone up. Another Zealot run by. Once again, trading with Hydras. That's another 3 Hydras going down. Oh, 4 Hydras. And potentially more from there. Oh, can he get 5? No, not quite. Does get the 4. Phoenix is diving into the main. Ooh, and without detection, oh my god. I mean, DTs, they can just go to ham on this. I'd have to stay away from the Spore. Do have to stay away. Getting into the mineral line, going for the Spore Crawler. They will get it. Spore goes down. Phoenix is there hunting for the Overseer. Oof. Going for the expansion. 4th base goes down. Jesus. Oh my god. Again, just a really interesting style here out of Bulmyeolja. It feels so, almost a little bit old school, like very Brood War-esque. I'm referring to like DT Scout, for example. Or sorry, DT Corsair. That's it. Still going for non-stop Zealot run-bys. Once again, Matt not quite in position. More drones going down. The lurkers are building up, but Matt has lost a lot of workers in the process, losing another expansion. Oh my god. That is going to be another hatchery falling. Oh, just barely gets saved. 8 HP. One more swipe. Does survive. And behind this, carriers are building up. And this entire game, Matt has been stuck at home. He's been stuck at home, stuck defending, building up. Bulmyeolja has been left alone and left to his own devices, getting to Skytoss, maxing out. And it feels like Matt has missed his window. He's missed his opportunity to actually push. And he still could go for at least a Ling run by, but he's been stuck at home, stuck dealing with the Zealots. See how many lurkers? Still only 3. I mean, Matt is lacking gas. Because of losing all these bases, like his income is quite stifled. Matt does need to prioritize that gas saturation. As he's taking up into Aspire. Into Spire Tech, into Corruptors, Spellcasters. And he's still stuck at home. Ling Run by finally moves out. Okay, can get into the mineral line. And not bad. Getting a handful of probes. Going for the pylons. I mean, there's nothing for there's nothing to defend. This is what I mean. Like, Bulmyeolja, he's been so vulnerable to these run-bys. There we go. The adepts from the start of the game get revealed. They finally come into play. Carriers are revealed as well. And we're reaching the point where I feel like Bulmyeolja can A-move. How many carriers does he have? 6. Oof. 6 carriers against purely Hydra. It's 30 Hydras. Vipers, they only just began. Vipers are not ready for this. Bulmyeolja, he can break down this base. 100%. At least 1 expansion. I mean, it's still so low. Bulmyeolja does try to push forward. Oh, into a concave. Now, another thing to bear in mind as well, even though Bulmyeolja's maxed out, I will say that a lot of these Phoenixes are kind of dead supply. Same with the Adepts. Like, this army would be so much stronger, so much more threatening with Archons, with High Templar, with Storm, or Disruptors. Despite that, it is still purely Hydra. Yeah, base goes down, hatchery falls, 13 drone kills, oh my god! The workers, they melt! Very nice force fields, just locking down the ground army. And who needs Storm, right? Like, who needs Storm, Papi? Well, we get the first yoink. 1 carrier goes down. There's Microbial Shroud. We'll pick off maybe a 2nd carrier, but there's almost, out of 30 Hydras, there's 4 left. 4 Hydras remaining. You can see just how fragile they are and how hard how hard it is for them to deal with these carriers. So the Rambais are pushing in. GG gets called, and Bulmyeolja does snowball out of control and does take game number 1. GG. does take the first game. Again, it did feel like Matt was like overly scared and overly passive for the most part. We saw towards the end there was finally a Ling run by that did get some damage done, but it took the entire game for that to happen. He was for the most part stuck at home, stuck second guessing himself. We mentioned as well that he was being quite greedy with his army composition, going purely Ling Hydra for a while, and it didn't trade well against the charge lots. He was kind of, yeah, just having a really hard time keeping up with the chaotic nature of Bulmyeolja. And GG, well played. Bulmyeolja will take the first game, and now we're getting to game number 2. Let's go. Let's go. We're being joined by the Brazilian casters. Let's go. Apparently Ice Scar and Rockets are casting. Let's go. We're jumping into game 2. It's going to be on Whispers of Gold. Just catching up. Hydra's gonna, yeah. I mean, again, you don't even need splash damage in that kind of game state. Just purely carrier charge lot. Glaive Adept is, yeah, it. All things anti-Hydra. Aye. Unfortunately, none of the support there. Again, it was a rocky kind of road there for Matt to make it into that game state. But now we're getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the American Protoss player, the Orange Protoss. Leading the series 1-0, it is Bulmyeolja. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the French Zerg player, the Blue Zerg. It is Matt. We'll see if he can bounce back here. Again, I do rate Matt quite highly. It was, only last week that we casted Matt Takedown Trap. At least in a game, in his EVP on Golden Aura. And I'm curious if Matt does take a different approach here, or if he tries to play it out standard once again. As we are going to be settling in. Whispers of Gold being one of the more open maps of the map pool. I mean, to say that, it does feel like one of the shorter maps in the map pool, shorter rush distance by ground. Things like 2 and 3 base all-ins can hit quite hard here, especially if the rocks are knocked down to walk across the map. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards when it comes to kind of, the mid-game play. I'm referring to like 60 drones, maybe 66 drones, just Roach Ravager, German Taxi, or Queen Walks. I don't really know if Matt is one to embrace that. I haven't casted too much of Matt, I'll be honest. So we'll see how he does adjust. We shall see. So now Bulmyeolja just going for his expansion. Just a gate expand setup here from the Protoss. Nothing too wild, nothing too crazy. And we'll see if Bulmyeolja once again embraces Glaive Adepts and DTs. It was just such a quirky opener, I'll be honest. It was just so odd. Because again, like, he didn't even have much Glaive Adept harass at all, if you recall. The DTs did get damage done, don't get me wrong. They killed 6 drones and they denied the 4th base, if you remember. Like, DTs, they had their place, but the Glaive Adepts less so. It's very odd. Very odd. So now we are settling in. And we'll see what heck Bulmyeolja goes for this time. Oh, this time, Stargate. Okay, let's go. It's going to be a Stargate opener. Now, based off of what we just saw in the last game, I would not be surprised if Bulmyeolja opens up Void Ray. If he goes Void Ray first or Phoenix first to try to keep the Zerg player in the dark, and then tech behind it. Could be, Void Ray into Glaive Adepts, Void Ray into second Stargate into Mass Void Ray, or Phoenix into second Phoenix and Mass Phoenix. I would not be opposed to that from Bulmyeolja, but we'll see. We'll see if he does go for an entire air unit first or an Oracle. Does have options. As the initial death does move out. Threatens the natural. And does get 1 drone so far, not bad. Gets 1, gets 2. Wait, did we skip Lings? Oh, we did. So yeah, 3 drone kills. Aye. Matt's punished for skipping those lings. And there it is. As we mentioned, Void Ray. Makes sense. Void Ray opener does make a lot of sense here based on Bulmyeolja's style. His goal should be to hunt down the Overlord and to keep Matt in the dark. And then transition from here. Pivot away from Sky Toss or pivot further in. And just make it that much more difficult for Matt to get a read on what's happening. You can see Bulmyeolja is looking for any additional gases. He's looking for a faster Roach Warren. Void Ray has arrived. And from here, Bulmyeolja, he has options. He can either go for, as we mentioned, that second Stargate. He can go for a Twilight Council into Glaive Adepts. He can go into a standard game and just go into an Oracle into a third. But I feel like it's not going to be a standard game. We'll see. Third base is being placed. Okay. Void Ray stays at home to defend it. Ling's moving out to scout. There's a Twilight Council. Yeah, there's a Twilight Council. This is early enough where this feels like Glaive Adepts. So this is quite early on. This third is very exposed. Bear that in mind as well. I'm a little bit surprised that this forward third was taken. As you can see here, it can be attacked from the left, can be attacked from the right. These ramps and these attack paths are quite large and quite wide and quite open, as opposed to the other expansions. So interesting choice here for the Protoss. It is further forward, true, but we'll see. As Matt does go for a bit of an earlier Roach Warren. So very safe timing here with the Roach Warren. It was around 4:30. Oh, and I assumed it was going to be Glaive Adepts. It is not. It's going to be Charge. Regardless, aggressive. But this is less about dealing economic damage and more about... and more about a frontal push. Meanwhile, that's a second Stargate and a Fleet Beacon. It looks like Bulmyeolja is looking to rush into Sky Toss. Oh boy. And we'll see if he can. Now, the Roach Warren is done, and Matt technically could go for a Roach Push. Would go for one. We'll see if he does. For now, he is droning a little bit further. He's getting up to 3 base saturation. We mentioned before that this would not be a bad map to drone up to 66 drones and then just move out with Roach Queen. And go for an all-in. But it feels like that is not what Matt is going for, because there's a Evo Chamber on the way. Tells us that Matt, he plans on upgrading, which means he plans on not moving out anytime soon. Additional Void Rays on the way. There's the first carrier. Lings, they do scout some of these Zealots, and that is a tell. Otherwise, there really shouldn't be any need for any Zealots in this kind of game state. They should not be here. But the carriers have not been revealed. Honestly, it's imperative here that Matt, once the lair finishes, which is going to happen in a couple of seconds, needs to scout. He needs to morph into an Overseer and dive into the main. Otherwise, he's going to be caught with his pants down. I mean, there's no anti-air. There's only Queen. There's no Hydrogen. There's no Spire. There's no setup for carrier. Ooh, and Matt is building up roaches. Meanwhile, shout out to Draco in the chat. Gah, Bobby Gah. Thank you so much. Thank you for the gifted bits. We do appreciate it. 100 bits even. Oh. As Matt, it looks like he is going for a push. Yeah. He does have Roach speed on the way. He's got Overlord speed as well. And here come the Overlords. They are floating over to spread that creep. This is a little bit mistimed. I mean, again, Roach speed is barely halfway done. But it's going to be all or nothing, and I'm concerned. On the one hand, I mentioned before that I do think that something like a Roach Queen push across the map can be quite effective, but this is a little bit mistimed with the upgrades. Matt, he droned up a little bit further, up to 70 workers. The army is scouted, and the problem here is that Matt doesn't know that he's pushing into carrier. He doesn't know, Pappy. Doesn't know. How many queens? 9. 9 queens. Is that enough? As he's pushing forward, Overlords are spreading creep. Making his way towards the third. Again, the third is very exposed. Is very wide open. The army does respond. The carriers are revealed. Nice kiting so far with the Void Rays. Oh! I spoke too soon. First Void Ray is going to go down. Does fly a little bit too far forward. The Queens, they're putting in a lot of work here against the Interceptors, and the third base, yeah, it is going to fall. Not a bad start for Matt, but he needs more. He needs to keep going. The Queens are lagging a little bit too far behind. Oh my god, the carriers go ham. So many roaches are falling. The base is saved. Only 3 probes go down. Ay, ay, ay. And Bulmyeolja holds. He does hold, takes another expansion. It's moving out from here. He can even hunt down the queens off of creep. They cannot transfuse. They're getting caught out. 1, 2 queens fall. A 3rd queen as well. High energy. And Matt, he responds with Hydra. He's getting into Hydra production. He's droning up as well, getting up to 4 bases. Meanwhile, Bulmyeolja looking quite comfortable. Now, my biggest criticism coming into this kind of game state, especially now that Matt is aware of the carrier, is I do feel like Bulmyeolja is going to have to support this army with Storm. Or with splash damage, right? Whether it's Storm or Colossus or Disruptor or what have you, I do think that's going to be a little bit more necessary. As I say that, there it is. Temple Archives on the way. That should be for eventually Storm. Until then, there's going to be a window. There's going to be a window where potentially Matt can make this army composition work. You can see he's massing Hydra. Not just that, Infestors. Infestors are on the way. That is a tell. That tells us that Matt is going to push as soon as the Infestors pop out, ideally with Microbial Shroud, before Storm kicks in. And without Storm, without splash damage, Microbial Shroud is less of a meme. Not just that, remember, in the PTR, Microbial Shroud is more effective and does actually latch onto units. For a couple of seconds. It's like for a couple of seconds, Microbial Shroud will latch onto the Hydras, so they can move, they can split. And the carriers are overextending. Oh my god. Carriers have to back off. Infestors have arrived. Microbial Shroud is available. And Matt, he can push in. He can send it, Pappy. At the same time, Zeltse do hit the right-hand side, or base goes down. There's our first Microbial Shroud. You can see he does follow those Hydras. Was a bit of a waste on the first Shroud, but there's plenty more behind this. Meanwhile, Zeltse gets into the mineral line, 6 drone kills. And Matt, he's maxed out. He is maxed out, he is pushing. Meanwhile, he's on a timer. Storm, it's almost done. Oh, Storm is almost done. And remember, Bulmyeolja, he can energy overcharge the High Templar. He can and he should. Feedback's coming in. Where's the Storm? 5 more seconds. Oh, the High Templar, no! The High Templar gets sniped. Massive pickoffs. High Templar go down. No Storm available. Does he have an energy overcharge? He does not. Oh, oh my god. Despite that, never mind. The carriers just go ham. They take down the queens, they take down the Hydras, and the carriers, they hold their own. Who needs Storm? I'm actually a little bit in shock here. GG gets called. Didn't even need a Storm, and with that, Bulmyeolja, he will survive and he will take the 2-0. GG. Oh my god. I was like, Papi, he snipes the High Templar, no Storms. It's fine. It's fine. He has critical mass of carrier. Doesn't even need them, even with Microbial Shroud. Now, to be fair, because of the feedbacks, there were less Microbial Shrouds than normal. True, that did occur as well, but despite that, he was still fighting under the support of it, and yeah, the carriers, they did overwhelm in the end. GG, well played. Bulmyeolja will take the 2-0. Congratulations. Congratulations. Bulmyeolja will take it. And with that, he advances on to the next round. Does advance on. And the question becomes, who's up next? Who is up next? Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look back yourselves.